From years of anxiety to warrior and mentor, Bradley Robinson created the Anxiety Project to help you end your anxiety naturally. Let's mold the new you and let's end anxiety together.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Anxiety Project podcast number 20. It's me, Brad Robinson, coming at you here today with 3 techniques that you should implement when panic strikes, and basically how to handle panic. This one is all about panic attacks, the symptoms of a panic attack, the symptoms of panic, the symptoms of the fight, flight, and freeze response by the amygdala when it's activated. And it's a really important episode, guys. So please write down notes, okay? I had a panic attack at the AGO. If you haven't listened to the previous podcasts where I described my panic attacks, all the panic attacks I had were similar. Obviously, they were very, very similar, but they don't feel similar. You know, panic attacks don't really feel similar. Each panic attack feels different. You feel like you're dying each time you have a panic attack. Each time you have a panic attack, it seems brand new, that this one is the one that's going to kill me. I know it. That mentality, okay? So when I had a panic attack at the AGO, I described my experience in full detail on a previous podcast episode, but I'll mention it here. I was walking around the gallery, and then all of a sudden with my girlfriend, and all of a sudden panic started to bubble, and I started checking in on my sensations. I started to notice my beating heartbeat. I started to feel my depth of field kind of minimalize, and I felt the tingling in my hands, and I was like, "Oh my God, what's going on? I must be having a heart attack or something. Something serious must be happening to me because I don't know why I'm feeling this way." And I was walking around, and I started to separate myself from her, and I started walking on my own, checking in, just like looking at the ground kind of thing. You know, you have poor posture, you know, you're just concerned, and what if thoughts start running through your mind? What if it's a heart attack? What if I have to run out of here? What if people think I'm, losing my mind? What if people think I'm crazy? And that was the biggest part. And that's what I find with most people, is that when people have panic and anxiety disorders, they worry about what other people think. They're worried about, what if they think I'm crazy? What if they think, I'm weird? Or, what if I throw up in front of all these people? Because they're going to think, you have a very, you're very concerned about other people's opinions, right? You're very concerned about what other people think. And that's huge when it comes to panic and anxiety disorders. But when I was walking around that gallery, I noticed that the build-up to full-blown panic was through what if thinking, and just knowing the ins and outs of panic and anxiety and how it works is a great tool to have in your arsenal when moving forward with your anxiety disorder. And I'm going to go into detail today on why you feel the way you feel. Why does panic all of a sudden come up so quickly, right? And you have no control over it. And I'm going to just skim the surface here and just really basically outline what is really going on cognitively, okay? And just having that in your arsenal going about your day-to-day lives, and when panic does come up, you'll have a more comfortable understanding, and you'll go through the panic better than you've ever gone through panic before, right? You're going to go through it with a more understanding, okay? So when panic does come, it really does feel difficult to calm down. It feels difficult to really get back into the present moment, get back into consciousness, okay? And the best way to handle panic is not to fight the panic and to not run away from the panic in the situation. And that can be quite hard, since our natural response in that fight, flight, and freeze response scenario is to fight it and flee, right? That's our natural response, ingrained in us for over 2 million years, right? So to naturally go against that response is quite hard. And that's why panic does seem completely overwhelming and scary. And it is scary because it's the fear of dying. You feel like you're dying, right? That's like the closest experience to death people have, right? Like when it comes to anxiety disorders, these people who have these disorders, like I used to have, are completely tough. We're tough people, but we don't really know what's going on. When we're facing death daily, people with anxiety, and that makes them extremely tough. But they think of themselves as weak-minded, weak-willed, right? So it's going forward, it's important to understand that we can look at anxiety in a totally different light, right? And this is such a great podcast for that, to face panic. So let's talk about the amygdala. The amygdala is the fight, flight, and freeze response. The amygdala is responsible for this response. It's a part of the brain. It's almond-shaped. It's singular, but there's actually two of them, two almond-shaped amygdalas in your brain. But it's pronounced amygdala, singular. And this response protects us from danger. That's why we have it. Okay, this is why we have the amygdala. We've developed this amygdala for over 2 million years. So the people that have survived in the environments, our great ancestors, they survived because their response was working properly. Those that didn't survive, they didn't have a proper working response. They died off. So the evolution of the amygdala kept growing and growing and growing and growing over so much time that today in our society, our amygdalas are so fully functioning and they are, easily activated, even though there's no saber-toothed tiger, even though there's no mammoth, even though there's no, lions and bears. It's just like, why is my response always activated? Why am I so sensitized? And it's important to understand that it's the amygdala that's sending out all of these sensations that you feel. The amygdala is the one that's making you feel your heart beating out of your chest. The reason why you have shallow depth of field. It's the reason why you have tingly in the arms and legs and the feet. It's the reason why you have that lump in the throat feeling, right? It's the reason why you feel sick to your stomach, nausea, right? This is all from the amygdala, right? And that's crucial to understand, that it's a natural response. So instead of being fearful of all of these sensations, try looking at it in a different light. Well, I feel sick because my amygdala is activated. Okay, so the amygdala is activated and, I'm in There's nothing dangerous around me. So I'm just going to ride the wave of all of these sensations. That's a great way to use rational thought in a panic attack scenario. But I'm going to get into that more, okay? Because that's one of the techniques is rational thinking. So I'm not going to touch on that quite yet. So the reason why you feel like you can't control your thinking when you have a panic attack, the reason why you can't control, rational thoughts is because the amygdala overrides all other brain functions. I'm going to repeat that. The amygdala, when activated, overrides all other brain functions. So you can't think your way out of a panic attack. That cannot happen. And I used to do this all the time. When panic would strike, I would try to control the situation. Control. Now, what's wrong with that word? You can't control it because the amygdala is activated. The amygdala is activated and it takes over all other brain functions, okay? I used to try to control it. I used to be, trying to think my way out of panic, trying to get control over my sensations and my body and everything like that, but it just never worked. And that's why it doesn't work. Your brain is hardwired to allow the amygdala to seize control in times of danger, okay? So why does your amygdala activate when you're, in the mall or at the movies, at the art gallery, or you're just out with family and friends? Why does the amygdala activate? And that's a huge question. That's a huge question. Because there's no saber-toothed tiger when I'm out having coffee with my friends. There's no lion and bear and, it's interesting, right? But it all has to do with your subconscious, your underlying core beliefs. Because here's the thing. When you're younger, specifically through the ages of 0 and 10, and you experience a traumatic event or you have a panic attack when you're extremely young, what happens when you go through a traumatic event? Well, your subconscious stores all the information around you. It stores it all when that traumatic event happened, because when you're going through a traumatic event, everything absorbs into your subconscious for later use, because your amygdala wants to store this information for later use, in case it happens again. It wants to protect you, right? So it wants to protect you. It stores it. So what happens is it stores everything, the smells in the room. It stores the everything you see, the colors on the wall, especially. It stores the people. It stores, everything. And 10, 20, 30 years later, you have a panic attack and you have no idea why. It can stem from that old traumatic event, the unresolved emotional issue, the stored beliefs, right? So it could be a certain smell that triggered your panic 30 years later. It could be a certain environment that triggered your panic, 30 years later. It could be the scenario. It could be the situation, the people. It can trigger the panic. And the amygdala is activated so quickly that you have no idea why you're sensitized. You have no idea. You can think your way to panic through the cortex. You can. But with cortex-based anxiety, you know why you're panicking. You know why. But right now, I'm talking about panic attacks that you have no idea why you're panicking, right? You have no idea. And this kind of panic stems from unresolved emotional issues, things that the amygdala stored over time, and now it's activated because something activated it. Something in your environment, activated it. Your beliefs, core beliefs. And now that your amygdala is activated, what can you do to stop a panic attack? What can you do? You're in the panic mode now. You're going through all the what if thinking. Now what? Now what do you do? All right, now I'm going to go through the 3 techniques you do when panic comes up and how to relieve some of the symptoms. And I'm going to start off with this. Panic won't just go away. You have to ride the wave of panic. All right, you can't just shut it off and be like, okay, panic's over because I've learned how to. No, it doesn't work like that. What happens is you need to ride the wave. The panic could last for 5-10 minutes. It could last for half an hour, whatever. But it just doesn't go away like that, right? And to know that is crucial. But when panic does happen, there's 3 techniques that you can do. The first one is to not run away from the environment. Not running away is so key, because what happens when you run away from the environment? Well, when you run away from the environment, you're strengthening a neural pathway that is telling your amygdala to fear this environment, to fear everything that is in the environment, the people, the sounds, whatever it may be, to fear everything, okay? So when you run away from the environment during panic, you're strengthening a neural pathway that's telling your brain to not go into a situation like this again. All right? But what happens when you stay and ride that wave of panic? Well, when you stay in that environment, you're strengthening a new pathway now, a new, different pathway that's saying, wait a minute, this environment is safe. Okay? It may be scary because you have, all of these sensations flowing through you, but you have a new pathway now that is developing because you're staying, and the environment is not dangerous. It's actually quite safe. It's about retraining your brain. That's basically what it is. And if you run away, like I did before at the art gallery, I ran the hell out of that place. I ran away. I called up loved ones. I talked to them. I got the hell out of there. But the next time I went back there, because I went back there again, on the subway ride there, I started to have panic because I knew I was going back to a dangerous place. My brain knew it was a dangerous place. The amygdala was like, wait a minute, don't go back there. You ran away from there. That place is dangerous. So I was even more sensitized on my way there. But then over time, when I kept going back there, I got less sensitized and less sensitized and less sensitized, and to the point where I could go back there anytime and not feel a thing, feel comfortable, okay? But it's all about training the brain, all about strengthening a new neural pathway in your brain, because our brains are neuroplastic, which means you can retrain the brain, okay? And that's crucial to understand. So don't run away from the environment. No matter how bad you feel, you have to stay there until the panic has gone from an 80 or 90 or 100 to down to a 40%, okay, to a 40 before you leave. Okay, before you leave, you have to wait until it goes down. And that's crucial. You're strengthening a new pathway that's going to strengthen over time. The more you go back to that same fearful environment, the more that pathway strengthens. And that is crucial. The second thing is to use rational thinking in times of panic. And this, I touched on this before, where, you're having a panic attack, and then when you're having a panic attack, it's time to use rational thoughts. So panic happens, and these thoughts are amazing. So say to yourself, this is just my amygdala activated. I feel nauseous because my amygdala is activated. It's from my amygdala. I feel like I'm having a heart attack, but it's just my amygdala being activated. It has similar symptoms to a heart attack, but they're not the same. Using rational thoughts like if it kills me, let it kill me. I'm just going to ride the wave of panic. I'm going to let it flow through me, and I'm not going to give it much attention. I'm just going to let it flow through me. Whatever happens, happens. These rational thoughts are amazing. They'll start to strengthen that new pathway. You haven't ran away, and now you're using rational thoughts like these. Oh my God, that pathway is just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how quickly you can strengthen a new pathway just by staying there and using these new thoughts and using this new knowledge that you've learned today. Panic is not life-threatening. Panic has not killed anyone before. Another great rational thought. Panic is not life-threatening. Panic has not killed anyone before. Amazing. And another technique is 2x2 breathing. During that panic, 2 seconds inhale through the nose and 2 seconds exhale through the mouth. Trying to get some more oxygen to the brain. Like I said before, panic is not life-threatening, so it might seem like you have a hard time breathing, which is caused by the amygdala, definitely. But, it's important to just get some oxygen. So 2x2 is a great technique as well. And after all this, you've left the environment. Your panic has gone from a 90 to a 40. You've left. You did it. You broke through to a new you. And now it's time to reward yourself. So go home, take a hot bath, cook your favorite meal, and relax. Reward yourself for doing something brave, because facing panic like that is a brave act. It's not easy. No one said this will be easy, but it's all about retraining your brain. And this is what you have to do. And it's all about standing up to fear, being courageous, because that's what life is about. If you don't stand up, and if you're not courageous, and if you're not willing to face fear and death in the face, then you're not going to be able to get to a better place in life. And like I said before, panic is not life-threatening. You will survive. I survived the many panic attacks I had, and you will too. You just have to be courageous not to run away or call up loved ones for reassurance. It's crucial. So reward yourself. Write it down in your breakthrough journal. I survived my panic attack today. I was courageous. I didn't leave the environment. I stayed put. I faced the panic head on. And now I'm rewiring my brain. making it stronger, more powerful than ever before. And that's it. Write it down. Make sure you write it down. You better have a breakthrough journal at the side of your bed, because that's crucial, because you're logging all of your breakthroughs, your accomplishments, and that's important. It's important to recognize when you did something outside of your fearful, anxious self, to write down something that's going to benefit your higher self. And that's it, guys. Just remember, your amygdala only learns from experience. Through repeated exposure comes new pathways in the brain. It's a no pain and it's a no gain situation when overcoming panic. It's a no pain, no gain situation when overcoming panic. You have to experience the function and the activation of the amygdala in order to retrain your brain. Okay, guys, that is it. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Please subscribe on iTunes if you haven't already. I love you all so much. Please leave a comment. Please rate it. I would appreciate that so much. And message me, email me if you have any questions or any other topics to cover, okay? Do not let your anxiety define who you are. Have a great day. Bye-bye. For more podcast episodes, for more video content, and one-on-one coaching with me via Skype, visit www.unpluganxiety.com for everything you need to know about ending anxiety naturally. I love you all. Have a great day. Bye-bye.